Hello, all you YouTubers out there. This is Final Fantasy Fan coming to you guys with another video. Today, we are going to take a look at the Nintendo NES Advantage, released in 1987 or 89. I'm not exactly sure. Here, let me check. 87. They released the NES Advantage, which is a great what's it called? Prop or anything, or something to have for your Nintendo system. This was supposed to be marketed as like a turbo controller, or to bring that arcade feel into your living room. Well, maybe not your living room now, because maybe your living room was filled with the Wii or something. Well, back then, bring the arcade experience to your living room. Woo! I happened to pick this up for $10 or $15 used a couple months ago, and it works very well. You can definitely tell it's been used though. There's some dust or some marks over here. The joystick doesn't stretch as far as it should, and the B button is a little out of place. Sometimes when you press it down, it like bends and squeaks stuff. But other than that, it works great. Now, I think the best part about this is the joystick. You better look at it. Look at that joystick. That's what you call an arcade joystick right there. It looks like it just came out of the arcade. It's like they just, like, yanked it out, got all the wires connected to it, and snapped it on this. And they both work very well. It's like bread and butter. Arcade joystick, Nintendo, all of its controls and stuff, with some turbo fire, slow, select the start, one player switch. It's like a masterpiece. How could you go wrong? Now let's get to the features of this thing. The joystick moves very well. It's a little dusty in there if you could see. A little dusty. You can see when it moves. It kind of moves like an arcade joystick, like that. You have the B and A buttons, which are humongous, but you're supposed to bring the arcade feel into your living room, so what you expect? Big red buttons. And these are, my finger is like the size of them. Now, as I said before, this is licensed as a turbo controller, and it does have turbo feature, and the turbo feature is really unique. To activate the turbo feature, when you push down, it stays down, and that means that turbo will be activated. And now this is really unique. This is what you don't see on your average turbo controller, like the NES Max. These little knob things control the turbo fire on it. Like, the more you turn it this way, the faster the button will tap. It's like an invisible ghost tapping on the button. And the more you turn it this way, the faster the game will like tap the button for you. Hard to explain, but you know, really unique. And if this was plugged in, there would be a red light every time you pressed on the button. It would like go red, red, red. You get the point. You get the point. So you have your A and B. This is really unique. It has a 1 and 2 player switch because let me get the cord. It's on the floor. It comes with 2 cords instead of just 1 because of this thing right here. I don't know why Nintendo decided to put 2 cords on this, but it's pretty unique. The red one is supposed to go for first player, and the white one's supposed to go for 2, I believe. It says Nintendo on there. So you plug both of them and you could switch between 1 and 2 player. Not very necessary, but it's unique. You have your select and start buttons, and the slow button, which just pauses and unpauses the game repeatedly. Pretty useless, but, you know, it's okay. I pretty much got into big detail about this. Let's check the underside. Yeah, it's pretty big. NES Advantage, model 026, 1987 Nintendo, and it was used. It has these rubber feet. When you have rubber feet on something, it means you can like drag the joystick like this and like yank it all around. Not that you'd want to, but it won't move. So you just keep tapping the buttons, like tapping, you know, playing like that and stuff. I'm not sure how many arcade games were released on the Nintendo, but I guess there's many of them. Especially like space shooters where you have to keep tapping the button like crazy in order to keep shooting lasers and stuff, etc. That's what it was used for. If you want a turbo controller that's kind of like the NES controller and is easy to use, get the NES Max. If you want a turbo controller that can actually feel like you're in the arcades and you can adjust the turbo fire, get the Advantage. Because the Advantage gives you the advantage of playing great Nintendo games. Advantage. It's giving you an advantage. Yeah, this is a great piece of hardware. I mean, I don't know what there else to say. I can't really test the games out because I only have 6 minutes. It's going to take me like 2 minutes to get the Nintendo in there, and I have to keep blowing on the cartridge, etc. Anyways, I'll make a separate video about that. Yeah, really nice. Definitely recommended. Now, oh wait, I almost forgot. The games I should recommend this for. For games like Mario 3 and some arcade games like Life Force, I guess. I don't know. I never played Life Force. Like Mario 3 and stuff like that, it's good. But if you're expecting a turbo controller, like for games like Contra, where you have to keep tapping the button in order to keep firing bullets, this one doesn't really do a whole good job. I'd recommend the NES Max for Contra, even though I don't have one, because I'm just not a big fan of this when playing it with games like Contra, because of the great arcade joystick. I'm thinking, how can an arcade joystick like this mess up a great game like Contra? Well, let me explain. You see, in Contra, you can aim your gun in any direction, like up, right, down, etc., any direction. And this kind of gets to be a pain when aiming. And you're saying, what are you talking about? It's a joystick. You can aim it in any direction. Well, that's when the problem shows up. You see, when you're using the joystick, it's very sensitive to where you point it. So even if you're trying to shoot up, usually your player, well, the guy shoots up right. It's like, no, don't shoot up, shoot that way. We try to make him shoot to the top and the right, he shoots right instead. Very sensitive with that. And when you try to move around, sometimes when you move right, he ends up going back and forth like this. And the game ends up getting all glitchy and stuff. And it really starts to piss you off, and when you keep losing all your 30 lives. Yeah, try doing the Contra code with this. Up, down, left, right, BA, start. Yeah, try doing that with the NES Advantage. I recommend the NES Max for Contra. Not this. But for the Mario games and some of the spaceship shooting games, works very well. So, NES Advantage gives you the advantage, lets you play great games. This is Final Fantasy Fan, out.